Something in the world of sports bothering you? Give Galloway and Company a call at 469-444-1033. Tell us what it is, and maybe you'll be the star of the next edition of What's Your Beat, presented by Cooper's Old Time Pit Barbecue.
Todd Archer is dialed in over to Valley Ranch with the Dallas Cowboys. He'll let you know who they will be looking at with that 14th overall pick coming up in about 30 seconds. You can always text the program here at 71755. That's 71755. Todd Archer in for, well, two guys, Galloway and Mosley. Mosley's on vacation with the in-laws over to England. That should be a good trip. And Galloway's raising a boatload of money to fight diabetes with his big event over at Lone Star Park tonight. So, Archer, you're slumming with me today. If you mention, and Mosley said that Don Terry Poe, the workout warrior, the Mike Mamula of 2012, is on the Cowboys' short list with the 14th overall pick, along with Courtney Upshaw, and I think he said Luke Kuechly, maybe somebody else. If the Cowboys draft Don Terry Poe out of Memphis, the defensive tackle out of Memphis, with the 14th pick, I advise every Cowboy fan to never buy another ticket again as long as you live and start rooting for the Washington Redskins, because that is how screwed up the Dallas Cowboys are if they take Don Terry Poe with the 14th overall pick.
From what I've been told, you don't have to worry about that.
Thank you, Acha.
Now, look, hey, Mosley was the first guy on Tyron Smith last year, but I will say at the end he jumped onto the Costanzo bandwagon. He was on Brandon Carr.
The day before, by the way.
Right. He was on the Brandon Carr deal and then said, no, Cortland Finnegan. So, Mosley...
He's been close.
He's been close, but
he's a hand grenade.
It's like when you're taking a test. Your first instinct is always the right one. Stick with your first instinct. And from what I've been told, it's not Don Terry Poe. You don't have to get on that bandwagon. But there are, I think DeCastro coming in recently, David DeCastro from Stanford, he's on the list. Mark Barron's been the guy I've said the last 3 weeks as the guy, the safety from Alabama, that they would take at 14. But the more you talk to people over there, the more the DeCastro name is coming back up.
Now, part of me doesn't have a problem with that. If he's the best player on your board, I'm a big believer. Do not move down. If you want to try and trade up because you think you can steal somebody, then go ahead and do that. But I hate moving down. Down means you're getting a lesser player. So if you've got somebody ranked on your board, and you may be you might need an outside pass rusher, or you might need a safety, but I think that's what free agency is for, and you have DeCastro as the highest-ranked guy available at 14, then that's who you should take, especially since word it is that he can easily slide over from guard to center.
And that's the big deal. Or the Mackenzie Bernardo, the guy from they signed in free agency, he could play some center as well. So it's not, well, they handled all their free agency stuff with the guard, so they're good in the draft. No. You look at the top 30 visits that they had, there were 4 guards, I believe, that came in.
But that defense needs some serious work.
It does.
And it troubled me a little bit when Courtney Upshaw told us a couple days ago that when he met with Rob Ryan, Coach Ryan was telling him, well, I'm going to use you in coverage a lot and as a run stopper. And this is the sack leader of the best defense in college football. This is the guy who had more tackles for loss than any other guy on the best defense in college football. Why would you use that guy at 6'2", 200, and he said he'll be coming into camp at about 265.
I believe he said
coverage.
He's 270 now, and he said 268. So he's going to lose 2 pounds.
Yeah, whatever. Well, he said, yeah, I think his last one was 260. Yeah, but whatever. So it's why would you use him a lot in pass coverage when this guy was the leading? Nobody got to the quarterback on the best defense in college football more than he did.
Maybe there was a miscommunication along the line, because in talking to Jerry Jones during this offseason, it seemed as if when he was talking about Anthony Spencer, you're saying, look, we got to give Spencer more chances to rush the quarterback, and there are things that we'll do in the scheme.
But that's Jerry, not the coordinator.
But he talked about the scheme, so he's clearly had conversations with Rob about this, that they will have their Sam linebacker rush the passer more. Now, I don't really buy this argument so much, because when it's third down and they're in their nickel defense, or not even third down, but when they're in their nickel, this guy's hands on the ground anyway. He's not worried about the guy in the flat. It's get the quarterback. And Anthony Spencer hasn't shown in 5 years he can be that guy and go do that. So, yes, Anthony Spencer was in coverage more than DeMarcus Ware. Yes, Upshaw would be in coverage more than DeMarcus Ware, but they shouldn't turn him into a coverage linebacker
here. Amen.
Go get the quarterback.
What is the do you believe that in the upcoming draft, 1 week from today, that the Cowboys are a team that no longer it's whoever gets to Jerry last, that's who they're going to take, that they will just go with whoever is highest on their board? Because there is you hear that there's a I don't know, a freshness over there that Jason Garrett has brought in. Like, you look at the Tyron Smith deal. They haven't drafted an offensive lineman in the first round in how long?
Since 81. Jerry had never done it.
See, but what'd they do? We got to protect Romo. So is there a different thought process? And if this is the highest guy on our board, we may not need this guy, but we're going to take this guy.
I believe you saw the influence in Jerry Jones from Jason Garrett last year. They didn't make a trade the entire time. I think it's only the second time that it's ever happened with Jerry as the owner and GM of this team, where they haven't made a draft day trade. They stayed where they were. They made their picks. And look, they had a chance to do the trade with Jacksonville, get Jacksonville's first-round pick and second-round pick last year so they could take Gabbert, the deal that Washington got. They chose to stay where they were and take Tyron Smith. A scout, and I'm sure Broadus has told you guys this, they'd rather have 2 for 1. They'd rather had Costanzo, Solder, and another guy as opposed to just Tyron Smith. But the Cowboys wanted the guy that they say, here's our lockdown guy for the next decade. I think Jason Garrett is the influence in that locker room, in that draft room, saying, just stay where we are. Take this player right here. If we want to move around later on, good. But like you said, the more you move down, the further away you're getting from the top quality players.
And with this latest news that David DeCastro, the guard, All-American guard out of Stanford, recently visited Valley Ranch. He was supposed to come in the vicious tornadoes that hit here, canceled that visit. They got him back in anyway. That leads you to believe that he may be the number 1 guy that they're targeting?
Number 1, I don't want to say number 1. I think he's in that. They got 4 or 5 guys that they're looking at, and they say, we'll be happy with any of these guys. I think he's near the top of the list in terms of being the guy at 14. But I want to throw an Alabama guy back at you, Dante Hightower.
Yeah?
How you like him at 14, or is that too high?
Too high. I mean, everywhere I've seen, it's, you got the Steelers taking him at 26 or whatever it is. He's a mid to low 20s. He played that weak side inside linebacker in Nick Saban's system. Occasionally, 1 out of every 10 to 12 snaps, they would line him up outside. Can he play outside at 6'4", 265 pounds? I don't know. You haven't seen him do it on a consistent basis, but he was an unbelievable inside linebacker going back to his freshman year. He started as a freshman for Nick Saban at Alabama.
He was their best defender as a sophomore, too, before he
was
got
better
hurt.
than Rolando McClain, who went in the top 10 to the Oakland Raiders. And he tears his ACL, comes back, and has been stellar ever since. He is a man of very few words. The guy just lives, eats, breathes football. And whoever gets that guy is going to get one heck of a football player. There's four of those guys. It's a Tim McMahon, and then we came up with take the best Bama defender theory. That's what you should do at 14. I think that's just a little rich for Hightower. Is he in the mix?
They like him, and they, I've had not a Cowboy source tell me this, but another league source say he can be an outside guy in a 3-4. So look, you're projecting. I get it. But you had to project on DeMarcus Ware as well to see a guy from Troy, small school, could move from defense and outside linebacker. Worked out pretty well. But the thing you mentioned about basically you said he's a football playing dude. If we can,
that's it. Yes.
That sounds like a Jason Garrett kind of guy right there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So keep an eye on him.
At dark horse at 14.
Keep an eye on there. I'm sticking with Barron because of my initial thought along has been Barron, and the only guy they got now is Brodney Poole. I wasn't impressed with. They could have Brodney Poole and went with A.B. Elam instead. They got him this year. I'd rather. You haven't had a guy since Darren Woodson as your safety, a reliable guy. I'd go Mark Barron still.
With Todd Archer, I'm Ian Fitzsimmons. Coming up more on this when Brian Broaddus joins us coming up at 4:45, the official scout of ESPN Radio.